Try the coffee I made just for you, babe. James's smile looked painted on, pleasant at the edges, empty in the middle. I'm Christina. I'm 29, and today I'm sitting at my sister-in-law Nina's polished dining table in her Nashville home, staring at a steaming cup that smells wrong. Not burnt, not bitter. Something faintly metallic like a spoon left too long on a stovetop. Family brunch at Nina's is our monthly ritual. Lately, it's also been the setting for my most confusing mystery. Why I keep getting sick after eating or drinking anything they set in front of me. Nina watches me with that calm, practiced sweetness she puts on for company. James mirrors it. The same small smile, the same patient tilt of the head. After 3 years of marriage and too many bad reactions to count, I've learned to read the fine print in people's faces. Their kind looks never survive the silence. And right now, silence is all we have. James has been experimenting, Nina purrs, idly stirring her untouched cup. Different brewing methods. Special, for you. Thoughtful, I say, matching her smile while my pulse drums a warning. The aroma wafting up from my mug drags me back to last month's tea, when I ended up in urgent care shaking and dizzy, and nobody could explain why. Before that, breakfast at their place. Nausea so violent I missed 2 client calls and a presentation I'd prepped for weeks. Each time James had an explanation. I must have caught a bug. Maybe I ate something elsewhere. Nina wrung her hands and apologized, swearing she'd made hers the exact same way. Except, she's not drinking hers now, is she? I lift the cup, let the heat ghost my lip, and watch the 2 of them through the steam. They share a glance, quick, telling, like a secret splitting the air between them. It lands like a weight on my chest. Work a plan before panic. That's a rule I made for myself after hospitalization number 3. Oh, 1 sec. I pat my pocket, squint at my phone. Urgent call for work. Nina, mind if I duck into your study? Just don't break anything, she says, still smiling. As I stand, I let my knee bump the table leg. The slightest jolt. A wobble of porcelain. A soft apology. In the tiny scramble to steady everything, 2 cups slide an inch, then another, then quietly trade places. My clumsy hand makes sure of it. I'm such a klutz, I murmur, cheeks warm, heart ice cold. In the study doorway, I keep my body angled so I can still see their table. The recording app on my phone hums awake. I don't need evidence to trust my gut, but evidence makes people listen faster. Nina raises what she believes is her cup. James glances at his phone, thumbs moving. My own mug sits where I left it, perfectly still, perfectly untouched, and still breathing that strange metallic ghost. She sips. My stomach tightens. Another sip. The smile slips. Her fingers tremble. She lowers the cup slowly, eyes unfocused for a beat too long. James, she whispers, voice tight. Something's wrong. His chair scrapes back hard enough to bite the floor. He sees the cup in her hand, the wrong cup, and his face drains. Nina, wait, what did you put in it? Her words come out clipped, jagged at the edges. A shiver runs up her arms. I step out where they can see me, calm I don't feel stretched smooth over my bones. My phone keeps recording. That wasn't supposed to be her cup. Was it, James? He stares at me as if I've split into 2 people. The wife who always believes him and the woman who's finally stopped. It wasn't... His voice drops, but the room is so quiet that every syllable lands. It wasn't meant for her. Nina's hands begin to shake in earnest. The teacup rattles against the saucer. She tries to stand, wobbles, clutches the table edge. James. I dial 911 with steady fingers. We need an ambulance at 1542 Maple Grove Drive. Adult female, severe reaction after drinking coffee. Conscious, but in distress. My gaze doesn't leave James's. She needs help now. Sirens begin to rise somewhere far away, needle thin and climbing. You switched them, Nina gasps, staring at me with a mix of fury and fear. You knew, I suspected. I say evenly. And I'm done guessing. James kneels beside her, panic surfacing like a tide. Breathe, Nina. It's okay. It was just supposed to... He bites the end off that sentence. Too late. Just supposed to what? I ask, her composure cracks. You promised it was only enough to keep her home, she hisses at him, words shaking as much as her hands. Just sick enough to miss her board meeting, nothing that would. My blood goes cold. Next week's board presentation, the one I've led for months, the one a competing firm would love to pry away. The last year unspools in a blink. The accidents, the oops spills on my dress for important events. The meals that taste just a hair different when Nina helps in the kitchen. The after-dinner dizziness that always shows up when James insists on making something special. Outside, the sirens swell into the street. Inside, the room holds its breath. Was last month's tea an oops, too? I ask, voice low. What about breakfast 2 months ago? Or the Christmas party when I couldn't stand upright for hours? How many oops have my body and my career paid for? Nina's knuckles whiten around the edge of the table. You kept showing up, she spits, pain and anger twisting together. Presentations, clients, always you. We needed to slow you down. By putting something in my cup. The sentence lands like a verdict. Footsteps thunder up the porch. Paramedics flood the doorway with purposeful calm and zipped bags. I tuck myself aside to give them room. As they move around Nina, taking vitals, asking brisk questions, I send the audio I've been recording to a safe folder, then to my private email, then to my attorney. Copies. Always copies. James stands back, ashen. He won't look at me. His plan, their plan, has slipped its leash and turned on them right in front of my eyes. I'll ride along, I tell the paramedics, voice steady. She's family. She deserves proper care. I turn to James and meet his gaze. And the doctors will want to know exactly what was in that coffee. For the first time in months, I feel something like gravity release its hold on my lungs. Not victory, just the clean, cold click of truth sliding into place. It doesn't heal what they did to me, but it opens a door I intend to walk through. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. If this were you, what would you do? Confront now or gather more proof? Tell me in the comments. And if you're hooked so far, give the video a like. It genuinely helps the channel. The ambulance's siren still echoed in my chest long after the flashing lights vanished down the street. I stayed behind in Nina's study, the recording safe, the silence heavy. James stood in the doorway, pale and shaking, like a man caught halfway between confession and collapse. You don't understand, he muttered. It wasn't supposed to go like this. Then explain it to me, I said, steady as I could manage. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you and Nina have been trying to poison me for months. His mouth opened, closed. For a moment, I thought guilt might win, but then his eyes hardened, calculating again. We just wanted you to slow down. You've been obsessed with work, Christina, taking every big client, outshining Nina at every turn. You were pushing yourself too hard. I almost laughed, sharp, bitter. So you tried to drug me? To knock me out of presentations so she could swoop in and steal my accounts? His jaw clenched. That silence. That was answer enough. By the time I reached the hospital, Nina was on a stretcher, pale as chalk. Nurses wheeled her past swinging double doors, and James trailed close behind until a security guard stopped him. He wasn't family. He wasn't allowed in. For once, I didn't correct them. Hours blurred. My phone buzzed with client emails, but I ignored them, thumb pressed to the audio file that held my proof. When Dr. Phillips finally appeared, her face grave, I braced myself. Mrs. Bennett, your sister-in-law's toxicology came back. Elevated levels of a synthetic compound, something that doesn't belong in coffee. This wasn't accidental. Before I could reply, James rounded the corner, breathless. That's not true. She's confused. She doesn't know what she's saying. The doctor held up a hand. Security. 2 guards stepped forward. James froze, panic sparking in his eyes. I think, I said, pulling up the texts I'd copied from his phone weeks ago. You should listen to this first. I pressed play. His voice, Nina's voice, talking about making sure Christina doesn't make it to the Henderson presentation. Each word cut like glass. Dr. Phillips's expression shifted from concern to alarm. This isn't just poisoning. This is premeditated. James's face drained of all color. You went through my phone? After finding a vial in your desk drawer? Yes, I snapped. And now everyone will see exactly who you've become. The hospital corridor seemed to shrink around us. Nurses whispered. Orderlies paused mid-step. Every eye was on us. James's carefully maintained mask had cracked wide open, and there was no piecing it back together. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. What would you have done? Play along like I did or call them out immediately? Let me know in the comments. And if you're following the twists, hit the like button. It keeps more stories like this coming. Detective Mendoza arrived like a storm in heels, calm, controlled, but carrying the weight of authority that silenced every excuse before it could be spoken. She took my statement with sharp precision, jotting down details as I played her recordings and handed over the texts. Premeditated, she said, her eyes narrowing. Not sabotage. Not an accident. Attempted murder. James sagged into the chair outside Nina's room, face buried in his hands. Inside, Nina lay pale and trembling. No trace of her smug confidence left. When Dr. Phillips delivered the toxicology results, compounds stolen from pharmaceutical research, dosages carefully increased over months, Nina's thin control broke. It wasn't supposed to go this far, she whispered, voice cracking. We just wanted her out of the way. You wanted me gone permanently, I said flatly. My hands clenched so tightly they ached. And you almost got it. The detectives found bottles of the same compounds in James's office desk, labeled, noted, dosage by dosage like I'd been some kind of science project. Evidence piled up higher than excuses. The hall filled with the sound of James being read his rights, his protests echoing hollow against the sterile walls. Weeks later, I sat in court, the world watching as James and Nina's schemes unraveled in front of a jury. Every recording, every hospital visit, every lie. They all built a case too strong to deny. Dr. Phillips testified with clinical certainty. The prosecutor laid out the timeline like a puzzle snapping into place. James couldn't look at me. Nina stared at the floor, small and broken. When the verdict came, guilty on all counts, I felt no triumph, only relief. Relief that the nightmare was over, that the truth was finally undeniable. James and Nina were led away in handcuffs, and I knew I'd never see them outside of prison walls again. A year later, I stood at the podium of the Nashville Business Leaders Conference, giving the keynote speech. The very spotlight they had tried so hard to snuff out now illuminated me brighter than ever. The Henderson account had blossomed into multiple contracts, my reputation soaring higher because of the very storm they tried to bury me under. Success, I told the crowd, isn't just about talent. It's about integrity, about surviving the people who would rather see you fail than face their own shortcomings. The best revenge, I paused, meeting the eyes of every young professional in the audience, is proving them wrong by thriving. Applause swelled, but inside me it was quieter, calm, steady, unshakable. I'd trusted my instincts, I'd gathered my proof, and I'd walked through fire. And now finally, I was free. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. If you were in my shoes, would you have switched the cups or walked away? Tell me in the comments. And if this ending left you satisfied, give the video a like. It helps more people find stories like this.